We are back with part 5 of this week's reading of the Messianic Jewish Family Bible, Tree of Life version. And we were reading this week chapters 13 through 24. So there's been a lot of things that have happened in these chapters so far that we have read. A lot of activity. Numbers 11 through 14, the people were mumbling and grumbling, fell into unbelief. They took the word of the majority of spies over Caleb and Joshua, of the majority of the spies, which were the 10 of the 12. 12 were sent to spy out the promised land. Caleb and Joshua were the only ones that had faith in God and had a good feeling that they could, that there was no problem, that they could take the land. And the other 10, all they saw was these giants and comparing themselves to the giants, referring to themselves as grasshoppers, and they were fearful. They made the people fearful. The people believed them. And as a result, the people were told that they were going to drop dead in the wilderness. So they would live out their life, but they were never going to get to the promised land, and it would have to be the next generation. But Joshua and Caleb were of this generation were the only ones that were going to be able to go into the promised land. So what happened is Aaron and Moses ended up not believing enough in God and went ahead and struck a rock instead of speaking to it. So they lost their ability to go into the promised land as well. So there was so much that has happened so far. We had Korah, who had rebellion, as we learned earlier. He was swallowed up by the earth. The earth opened up and just took him and all of his cohorts. And because of sin and unbelief, what could have been an 11-day journey turned into a 40-year wandering for Bnei Israel. Amazing, isn't it? And God told this old generation that they were not going to enter the promised land, but the new generation would see that blessing. Then we go into Numbers 15 to 20, continues to deal with the wilderness wandering, and God made it clear that those who murmured against him were just not going to get there. Also earlier in number 16 to 20, there was an attack on the Aaronic priesthood, um, where we that's where we got Aaron's budded rod because they were attacking Aaron. And that rebellion cost 15,000 people to die. Um, well, it first started with Korah, um, at the helm of the rebellion, and then it continued on to them complaining about Aaron. But God caused Aaron's rod to bud, which made it clear to the people that Aaron was um, the chosen priest. Yeshua is now our high priest forever. And in Numbers 20, we see Miriam dies, Aaron dies. Um, so there was so much action in the chapters that we have covered so far. So we're going to continue on to chapter 22. And I don't know, in these later chapters to try to show you like a diagram of how the layout of the Israeli camp and also the Old Testament tabernacle. I'm going to try well, I actually showed you a diagram in an earlier teaching of that, but the actual camp of the Israeli camp. Um, try to maybe find something that I could show you that as well. We're going to read chapter 22 now. This is very interesting. We also say God can use anyone that he chooses to. He even used a donkey. So no one is not usable, and if you are a willing person and willing to be a vessel for the Lord, he will use you. He even used a donkey in Numbers chapter 22. A donkey rebukes Balaam. Then Benaiah Israel set out and camped in the plains of Moab alongside the Jordan across from Jericho. So we're going to also get into Parashat Balak, and that's Balak. When Balak, son of Zippor, realized all that Bani Israel had done to the Amorites, Moab became terrified because there were so many people. Moab was filled with dread because of Bani Israel. Moab said to the elders of Midian, the multitude will lick up everything around us like the ox licks up the grass of the field. Now Balak, son of Zippor, Zippor, was king of Moab at the time. He sent messengers to summon Balaam, son of Beor, Beor, at Pethor near the river in his native land, saying to him, Look now, a people has come out of Egypt. See now, they cover the surface of the earth and are settling beside me. Come now, curse this people for me, because they are too strong for me. Perhaps I may be able to defeat them and drive them away from the country. I know that whoever you bless will be blessed, and whoever you curse will be accursed. The elders of Moab and Midian left with divination fees in their hand. When they came to Balaam, they told him Balak's words. He said to them, Spend the night here. I will give you an answer just as Adonai speaks to me. So the officials of Moab stayed with Balaam. God came to Balaam and asked, Who are these men with you? Balaam said to God, Balak, son of Zippor, king of Moab, sent word to me, See, the people coming out of Egypt cover the face of the land. Come now, curse them for me. Perhaps I will be able to fight against them and drive them away. God said to Balaam, Do not go with them. Do not curse them, for they are blessed. So Balaam got up in the morning and said to the officials of Balak, Go back to your country, for Adonai has refused to let me go with you. So the Moabite officials got up and went back to Balak and said, Balaam refused to come with us. Balak again sent other dignitaries, more numerous and honored than these previous ones. They also came to Balaam and said to him, Thus says Balak, son of Zippor, Please let nothing keep you from coming to me. I will richly reward you, and everything you tell me I will do. Just come now and curse this people for me. But Balaam answered Balak's servants, Even if Balak gave me his house full of silver and gold, I cannot cross beyond the mouth of Adonai my God to do anything small or great. But now you may spend the night here too. Then I may find out anything else Adonai may say to me. God came to Balaam by night and said to him, Since the men came to you to summon you, arise and go with them. However, only the word I tell you are you to do. So Balaam got up in the morning, saddled his donkey, and went with the Moabite princes. But the anger of God burned because he was going. The angel of Adonai stood in the road to oppose him. He was riding on his donkey, and two of his servants were with him. When the donkey saw the angel of Adonai standing in the road with his drawn sword in his hand, the donkey turned off the road and went into the field. So Balaam beat the donkey to get her back on the road. Then the angel of Adonai stood in a narrow path between the two vineyards, with a wall on this side and a wall on that side. When the donkey saw the angel of Adonai, she pressed against the wall, crushing Balaam's foot against the wall. So Balaam continued beating her. Then the angel again moved. He stood in a narrow place where there was no room to turn right or left. When the donkey saw the angel of Adonai, she lay down under Balaam. Balaam was very angry and beat the donkey with a staff. Then Adonai opened the donkey's mouth, and she said to Balaam, What have I done to you that you have beaten me with these 3 times? Balaam said to the donkey, Because you've made a fool of me. If I had a sword in my hand, I would kill you now. The donkey said to Balaam, Am I not your donkey, which you have ridden as always to this day? Have I ever been in the habit of doing this to you? No, he said. Then Adonai opened Balaam's eyes, and he saw the angel of Adonai standing in the road with his drawn sword in his hand. So he fell on his face. The angel of Adonai said to him, Why have you beaten your donkey these 3 times? Behold, I came as an adversary because your way before me is a reckless one. The donkey saw me and turned away from me these 3 times. If she had not turned away from me by now, I would have killed you indeed, but let her live. Balaam said to the angel of Adonai, I have sinned, for I did not know that you were standing in the road to oppose me. Now, if this is displeasing in your eyes, I will go back home. Then the angel of Adonai said to Balaam, Go with the men, but speak only the word that I tell you. So Balaam went with Balak's princes But when Balak heard that Balaam had come, he went out to greet him at the Moabite city on the border of Arnon, the frontier of the territory. Balak said to Balaam, "Didn't I send you an urgent summons? Why didn't you come to me? Am I really unable to reward you? Look, I have come to you now." Balaam said to Balak, "Can I just say anything? I must speak only the message which God puts in my mouth." Then Balaam went with Balak to Kiriath Huzoth. Balak sacrificed cattle and sheep and went with Balaam and the princes who were with him. In the morning Balak took Balaam with him to Bamoth Baal, and from there he saw part of the people. So that's very interesting, what happened there. So chapter 23, a curse turns to blessings. Then Balaam said to Balak, "Build me 7 altars here and prepare for me here 7 bulls and 7 rams." So Balak did just as Balaam had said. Balak and Balaam offered a bull and a ram on each altar. Balaam said to Balak, "Stay here beside your offering. I will go, and perhaps Adonai will meet me. Whatever message he shows me, I will tell you." Then he went to a barren height. God met with Balaam, and he said to him, "I have prepared seven altars. On each altar I offered a bull and a ram." Adonai put a message into Balaam's mouth and said, "Return to Balak and speak this." Balaam went back to him. Behold, he was standing beside his offering with all the princes of Moab. Then he uttered his oracle and said, "From Aram Balak brought me, Moab's king, from the mountains of the east. Come, curse Jacob for me. Come, denounce Israel. How can I curse one whom God has not cursed? How can I denounce one whom Adonai has not denounced? From the rocky peaks I see him, from the heights I behold him. Look, he lives as a nation apart, and does not consider himself as being like the other nations. Who can count Jacob's dust? Who can number a fourth of Israel? Let my soul die the death of the upright, and let my end be like this." Balak said to Balaam, "What have you done to me? I brought you to curse my enemies, but look, you've actually blessed them." But in response he said, "Mustn't I speak whatever Adonai puts into my mouth?" Then Balak said to him, "Come now with me to another place where you can see a part of them only, not all of them. Curse them for me from there." He took him out to Lookout Field on top of Pisgah, Pisgah. He built 7 altars and offered a bull and a ram on each altar. "Stay here beside your offering," he said to Balak, "while I am meeting over there." Adonai met Balaam there and put a message into his mouth and said, "Return to Balak and speak thus." So he went to him, and behold, he and the princes of Moab were standing beside his offering. Balak asked him, "What did Adonai say?" So he uttered his oracle and said, "Rise, Balak, hear me, son of Zippor. God is not a man who lies, or a son of man who changes his mind. Does he speak and then not do it, or promise and not fulfill it? Look, I received a command to bless. He is blessed. I cannot change it. No misfortune is to be seen in Jacob, and no misery in Israel. Adonai their God is with them. The king's shout is among them. God is bringing them from Egypt with the strong horns of the wild ox. There is no sorcery effective against Jacob, nor any divination against Israel. Now it will be said of Jacob and Israel, 'See what God has done.' The people rise like a lion who does not rest until he eats his prey and drinks his victim's blood." Then Balak said to Balaam, "Do not curse them or bless them at all." Balaam answered and said to Balak, "Haven't I told you? All that Adonai says I must do." Balak said to Balaam, "Come with me to another place. Perhaps it is pleasing to God, and you may curse them from me from there." So Balak took Balaam to the top of Peor, overlooking the wasteland. Balaam said to Balak, "Build me 7 altars there and prepare 7 bulls and 7 rams for me." Balak did just as Balaam said and offered a bull and a ram on each altar. So he keeps trying, but every time he tries, Israel is to be blessed. So that was not working too well. I'm going to kind of recap here. Chapters 22, 23, 24 talks of the situation of the Moabites and the Israelites and Balaam's story. So the Moabites were the cousins to the Israelites. They were Lot's descendants. The Moabites and the Israelites did not get along. Balak, the king of Moab, son of Zippor, saw all that what Israel had done to the Amorites, and Moab was afraid because there were so many. And Balak then sent messengers to Balaam to curse the people. And God basically told Balaam, no, I've blessed them. You cannot curse what I've blessed. This is my people. And so he had sent word back, but that was not good enough. Um, Balaam kept going back. He was getting offered things too. So he may have wanted the change of heart, from Adonai. But you know what? Adonai actually was angry at Balaam for actually going, even though he had told him, go and I will put my word into your mouth. Um, the angel of Adonai stood in his path with a sword, and he did not see it. The donkey saw it, and Balaam was being cruel to the donkey until he saw the angel himself, and he realized, he was sinning. But then he was told to go along and go, and all, there were sacrifices made at several places on altars, and Adonai basically was telling Balak, no, these people that you want to be cursed are not going to be cursed, because I am making Balaam bless them even more. And so it could not be reversed. So that's, Balak was very angry at Balaam for not cursing Israel. And Balaam told Balak that he could not go against the Most High God. And God told Balaam that Israel would prevail and God would destroy their enemies. So Balaam and Balak parted ways. So that's how that story ends. But we're going to now finish with actually chapter 24. How lovely the tents of Jacob. When Balaam realized that it was pleasing in the eyes of Adonai to bless Israel, he did not resort to sorceries as at the other times, but turned his face toward the wilderness. Lifting up his eyes, Balaam saw Israel dwelling by tribes. The Ruach Elohim came over him. The Spirit of God came over him. He uttered his oracle and said, this is the oracle of Balaam, son of Beor, and the oracle of a strong man has has been opened whose eye has been opened, the oracle of one hearing God's speech, one seeing Shaddai's vision, one fallen down, yet with open eyes. How lovely are your tents, O Jacob, and your dwellings, O Israel. Like valleys, they are spread out, like gardens beside a river, like aloes planted by Adonai, like cedars beside the water. Waters will flow from his buckets, his steed by abundant water. His king will be greater than Agag, Agag. His kingdom will be exalted. God is bringing him out of Egypt like the strong horns of a wild ox. He devours nations hostile to him. He will crush their bones. His arrows will pierce them. He crouches like a lion or a lioness who would rouse him. He who blesses you will be blessed, and he who curses you will be cursed. Then Balak became furious at Balaam and struck his hands together. Balak said to Balaam, I summoned you to curse my enemies, but look, you have blessed them these 3 times. Now go home. I said I would reward you, but see, Adonai has kept you from reward. Balaam answered Balak, didn't I indeed tell your messengers whom you sent to me, saying, if Balak were to give me his house full of silver and gold, I could not go beyond the mouth of Adonai to do good or bad from my own heart. Whatever Adonai may speak, I will speak. Now behold, I am going back to my people. Come, let me counsel you whatever these people will do to your people in the latter days. Then he uttered his oracle, the oracle of Balaam son of Beor, the strong man whose eye is open, the oracle of one hearing God's speech, one experiencing Elion's knowledge, one seeing Shaddai's vision, one fallen down yet with open eyes. I see him, yet not at this moment. I behold him, yet not in this location. For a star will come from Jacob. A scepter will rise from Israel. He will crush the foreheads of Moab and the skulls of all the sons of Seth. Edom will be conquered, but his enemies will conquer Seir, Seir, but Israel will triumph. One from Jacob will rule and destroy the city's survivors. Then he saw Amalek, so he uttered his oracle and said, Amalek was the first of nations, but will come to ruin at last. Then he saw the Kenites, Kneite. So he uttered his oracle and said, Your dwelling is secure, your nest is set on the rock, your cane will be destroyed. When Ashur captures you. Again, he uttered his oracle and said, Oh, who can live when God does this? Ships will come from Kittim's shore. They will afflict Ashur and Eber, but they too will come to destruction. Then Balaam got up and went and returned to his own place, and Balak went on his way. So that is the end of chapter 24. And I'm going to come back with the conclusion of this week's lesson in the next part.